to another episode of Catching My Second Wind. Today is January 10th. It's been about 2 months since I've put the shrink wrap on chopsticks. I came out to the marina just to check up on her, as I do every couple weeks usually. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get underneath the shrink wrap today because I'd imagine the zipper may be frozen, but just show you she looks like she's in good shape. I've already done a walk around. A little bit of snow accumulated in a couple spaces. Let's take a look. Okay, so here she is. You can see shrink wrap is looking great, but you can see some areas where snow is kind of accumulated, probably because I wasn't able to make it as taut as I wanted. And I think this is where snow might accumulate anyways because of where the rigging goes into the turnbuckles, and that's kind of a nice place for snow to kind of stop as it's sliding down the shrink wrap. But yeah, let's take a walk around her and see how she looks. I'm going to probably put up my ladder and just try and knock this snow off. Bowsprit. Yeah, everything looks good. And kind of on the starboard side here, it's the same thing. You see where the snow is probably sliding down. It just kind of was able to catch about where the, like I see, the rigging goes into the turnbuckles. Otherwise, everything seems to be holding up really well. And although I come out here and I check on her every couple weeks just to make sure the shrink wrap's holding up good, I really don't ever expect that I'm going to come out here and see a point where it's compromised, where it's torn. The 7mm stuff is pretty tough, but still I do come out here and check. I try to get underneath and go below deck and take a look around, make sure the fans are still running so it's circulating air to hopefully prevent any moisture from collecting, any condensation. Okay, so I've got to admit, I am very glad I came out. The weight of the snow that's kind of turned ice, you see that, so that's about, gosh, 3/4 of an inch thick, and it's an inch thick in some spots, has caused the shrink wrap to sag. Maybe even somewhat stretched it a little bit. You know, whereas before, this maybe was not as saggy right here. It was up a little bit more, so I might have to do the next time I come out that I can get underneath the shrink wrap. So I'm going to take all this stuff off today, is take some irrigation hose like you would use for a sprinkler system, which is pretty strong stuff, and arc it from one end, from one starboard to the port side underneath the shrink wrap, to give it some more structure to help to shed the ice and snow better as it accumulates. But that's, there again, one of the reasons why, even though I never expect there to be any issues with the shrink wrap, I come out here at least every couple weeks just to check and make sure. And had I let this sit and continue to accumulate, at some point it may have been heavy enough to cause the shrink wrap to fail. So just FYI, if you shrink wrap your boat, even if you have somebody else shrink wrap it, it's still a good idea to come out and check it every now and then just in case. Okay, so you can kind of see all the snow and ice that I knocked off of her. On the starboard side, really the sag isn't noticeable from the weight. There was a little bit of ice, but not as much as there was on the port side. Okay, so as you can see, all the snow and ice is knocked off on her port side. You may be able to see that sag where the Shrink wrap kind of comes just over the gunnel there. May need to find something to support that for later on. And there again, that's why I mentioned it's really important to come out and check up on her, because if you look at how thick some of this ice is, that's how thick that is, and that ends up being a lot of weight when you get snow on top of it. Pretty solid piece of ice. And this is all the snow, and it was not really a light snow, a little bit more compacted snow. Here's a pretty big chunk. So it really creates a lot of weight. So I am glad I came out here today, because had I not, it would have accumulated more. We'd gotten some more snow, a little freezing, a little thaw and freeze. The ice would have gotten heavier, and eventually it could have caused the shrink wrap to fail. As I said, even though this is 7 mil and it's tough stuff, when you get the weight of the ice pushing down on it, and maybe it's sitting on something that is not rounded or smooth, that's where a hole can puncture. And then when it melts, the water gets in. So anyway, she's looking good. Well, that's it for today. So I'm going to leave, button it up. Going to go home, enjoy the rest of my day. I hope everybody's staying safe, enjoying themselves, having a good Sunday, and take care. Thanks for watching. Bye.